Minister Chan, and good morning to all of you, my dear friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. It has been 2 years since our last physical tourism industry conference. Our tourism landscape today looks very different from then, but I'm thankful to be here with all of you, whether physically here or virtually. And I look forward to the conversations that we will have, and I hope that we can inspire amongst all of us on how our industry can respond to Minister Chan's challenge. How can we be a trailblazer for defining what quality tourism will look like in the future? First, let me take a quick stock of the journey so far. I believe many of you will know that exactly 1 year ago, we were entering circuit breaker. Very, very different circumstances then. After circuit breaker was over, the reopening of our economy and the tourism sector took place very carefully. Let's not forget, in fact, that we're still in phase 3 of the reopening. But we must acknowledge that we have come very far since those days. And I thank you for many of you who have stepped up in a big way to support our national efforts against COVID-19.
2020. A year unlike anything we've ever seen before. It was a year where our tourism sector had to fight for its survival and livelihood. As we weathered through the pandemic, our industry partners stepped up in times of crisis without any hesitation. This unyielding spirit kept us through the uncertainty that lasted through the circuit breaker and allowed us to emerge stronger. Protecting the safety and health of our visitors and staff became the core priority, with cleanliness and hygiene put at the forefront of decisions. Our cruise industry reinvented themselves and adapted to the new normal. Our travel agents and tourist guides challenged themselves to innovate and designed safe itineraries for all. Our attractions brought forth new ways to uphold high standards in crowd management and maintaining cleanliness. Our hotels reimagined a safe and seamless staycation experience for their guests. We witnessed the launch of multiple successful pilot events with safe management measures in place, as we worked hand in hand with our industry partners and pivoted to our domestic market. We challenged all norms and showcased our ability to adapt and innovate. The backbone of the tourism sector is our people, passionate, resilient, and adaptable. 2020 was a rough year, but with you, we weathered through it together.
I'm very, very proud of our collective efforts. The way that we stepped up as a tourism sector to support our national efforts makes us quite unique. And I hope it helped you and your teams understand that all of us can make a contribution, regardless of your skills or your jobs. And I hope that this sense of solidarity will continue to unite us as we look towards the future, because we will need that solidarity in the months ahead. Now, we don't expect tourism to return on a large scale anytime soon, but I'm confident that it will return, and so we must survive and get through this very challenging period so that we will emerge stronger from this pandemic and are ready to capture growth when it returns. STB is fully committed to supporting the viability of our sector. Earlier, Minister Chan had spoke about our continued support measures, the topping up of our Tourism Development Fund, and the grant schemes for tourism. Now, our support goes beyond just the financial provisions and includes efforts such as restoring the flow of travelers to Singapore, facilitating industry and business transformation, and retaining mindshare to keep Singapore top of mind. Let me speak about these 3 areas. Now, like many of you, I cannot wait for international travel to resume. And we know that this has to be done carefully and safely, putting the safety of our locals and our visitors first and foremost. Now, STB has been a strong advocate for the safe reopening of our borders, and we are working with many other government agencies to explore all options. For example, in February this year, we opened Connect at Singapore, with Connect at Changi being its first appointed facility. To date, Singapore has also rolled out reciprocal green lanes with 7 countries, although 5 have been suspended because of a resurgence of cases. And there are now also discussions underway for air travel bubbles with a number of other destinations and source markets. Beyond travel lanes, we have also worked with many of you to resume some high-profile lifestyle and MICE events. And we will continue to explore different channels, different formats for events, especially in the lead up to the World Economic Forum, which Minister Chan mentioned, in order to build confidence amongst our locals, to test our SOPs, and to send a clear signal to the world that we are back in business. Now, let me talk about business transformation. In times of crisis, our natural instinct is to hunker down, to wait for the storm to pass with the intention of going back to normal after the storm. I would urge us to work against this instinct because we should never waste a crisis. Now, one of the big changes that many of us have had to grapple with has been the change and the pivot towards domestic tourism. This has required us to engage a new customer base that many of us may not have grappled with so seriously before. But I'm very grateful and happy that many of you pivoted quickly, thinking of new ways to engage our fussy and demanding locals. Some examples. Oriental Travel and Tours took to developing new and unique tours for the local market. One of their most popular tours, Creepy Tales of Singapore 2, has now grown a reputation amongst our locals. They have also developed tours in the local dialects to attract our senior citizens. Well done. The tall ship Royal Albatross has also innovated new offerings to cater to locals with different interests, such as launching a new doggy cruise, where guests can enjoy a dinner cruise around Sentosa with their fur babies. Please keep this creativity coming, because I believe that this period may well be the most fertile periods in the Singapore tourism sector, with new products and experiences being launched regularly. I'm especially encouraged by collaborations between different companies and across different sectors, which have been very well received by locals. Many of these new products will be relevant to our visitors, so don't lose the gains that you have made and make sure that you keep expanding your repertoire so that there is much more to offer to visitors when they do come back to Singapore. But don't forget that we need to build resilience and preparedness for future crises as well, and these will come. Let's see how 3 tourism businesses have used this time to transform, to build new capabilities so that they can be ready for the future.
Many of our customers told us that they miss traveling, so even in this pandemic, we want to continue to bring new experiences to them. We know that we need to adapt, we needed to transform. We wanted to source for different avenues that we can actually generate income and bringing new experiences to our existing or new customers. A lot of people think of Dynasty as a travel-only brand. But this collaboration with STB has helped us expand our offerings beyond that.
The pandemic has accelerated the transformation of the hospitality industry. Being agile and adaptable is more important than ever. We have tapped on Tippit Grant to customize a sales and marketing training program. From a job redesign perspective, colleagues are trained to be equipped with necessary skill sets and certification to carry out what was originally 3 separate roles. The tech adoption has definitely helped us in terms of productivity as well as efficiency. So one of the ways that we've adopted is to use technology to help us in our daily processes and our operations. A key differentiator is our effort in the food sustainability journey. We have created our very own urban farm, which allows our restaurants to have seamless farm-to-table dining experiences. We are looking to improve the process and epitomize the group's commitment to sustainability.
Initially, our focus was on reopening safely with an emphasis on contactless, virtual and digital operations. We are on a journey to transform our operations from one that is very operations-focused to a customer-focused experience. The Lighthouse program is an initiative by STB to equip operators like us with the capabilities to undertake our transformation. We have embarked on a customer journey initiative that started us thinking about this pre-visit, on-site visit and post-visit experience. And from this, we have come up with many initiatives in a roadmap that we plan to put in place over the next 3 years. For example, putting in place artificial intelligence to propose itineraries for our visitors based on their profile. We need to evolve so that we are in a position to bounce back stronger.
All these are reasons why STB will continue to double down on our efforts to support digital and tech transformation. Minister Chan has already announced that STB will launch T-Cube later this afternoon. Through T-Cube, STB will scale up our digital transformation initiatives in a 3-step learn, test, build framework to help you build capabilities for the future. Under the learn phase, we have introduced the Tourism Transformation Index, TXI, which is a self-assessment tool to help you understand where you are in your transformation journey. And based on your TXI score, STB can then provide recommendations on relevant programs to support your transformation journey. In 2020, over 100 tourism businesses benefited from the TXI pilot. So now we're ready to scale this up. TXI is now hosted on the Singapore Tourism Analytics Network stand, which I believe all of you are familiar with, and it is available for you all to use. So please take full advantage of it. To help you test your ideas, we started the Singapore Tourism Accelerator program in 2019 to help our businesses in Singapore source for the most innovative solutions from around the world to address your business challenges. To date, the Accelerator has supported 21 startups to develop 35 industry solutions. And we will extend the Accelerator for another 2 years until 2023. Lastly, under the build phase, tourism businesses can leverage on a suite of existing smart services developed by STB, such as the Tourism Information and Services Hub, or TIH, and STAN. I encourage all of you to use these tools, contribute data, contribute your experiences and offerings, and share content with each other so that we can collectively drive innovation, collectively make smarter, data-driven business decisions. Last year, we also launched a new augmented reality strategy to seed industry-wide capabilities in a growth area which I believe still remains underappreciated. To build up our familiarity with AR, STB will develop a library of up to 1,000 3D assets to augment the current lack of such content in the market. We will make these assets available on TIH without any additional charge so that we can help you accelerate the adoption of AR solutions and experiences for our visitors and locals. Beyond digital transformation, we must press on with efforts to transform and uplift the skills of our tourism workforce because COVID-19 will change the demands and expectations placed on our people. So this year, we will develop a new tourism sector capability development roadmap together with the NTUC to build the skills needed to support travel and tourism in a COVID-19 world. For example, let's think, what are the skills needed to provide exceptional and consistent and safe end-to-end itinerary experiences for group travel coming to Singapore? I'm very grateful that these projects have found support from the Emerging Stronger Task Force, Alliance for Action for Safe and Innovative Visitor Experiences. Throughout this entire period, we have also prioritized efforts to maintain Singapore as a top-of-mind destination amongst leisure and business travelers. And this is important because many surveys, not just ours, but surveys from around the world, show us that millions of people around the world are desperate for travel, like many of you, I'm sure, right? So we must make sure that Singapore stays top of their minds, top of their list, where they want to go. To support these efforts to maintain mindshare now and over the longer term, we will pursue meaningful and interesting partnerships around the world. For example, with Studio Dragon Corporation in South Korea, and with ITE, which is often referred to as the Netflix of China. But we have not forgotten you as well. Our Marketing Partnership Program, MPP, which we created last April to spur more marketing innovations from you, has been very well received. And to date, we have supported close to 300 big and small establishments in the tourism sector. And we have been able to work with you to amplify your ideas through domestic campaigns and cross-industry collaborations. We are looking to launch a second edition of the MPP later this year to support your ongoing and new domestic and international marketing efforts. All these efforts are meant to help us get ready for recovery. So please don't think we are in hibernation mode. In fact, we can still look forward to new projects this year to support the tourism sector and to increase our vibrancy and destination attractiveness. For example, there will be 3 new attractions in the months ahead. The Museum of Ice Cream, which is a popular US-based attraction, will launch its first ever international location outside the US here in Singapore later this year. Slingshot will be Asia's tallest slingshot ride, and this is a new thrill ride concept which will open later this year at Clarke Quay. And lastly, Sky Helix Sentosa, Singapore's first open-air panoramic attraction that allows visitors scenic views of Sentosa and our southern waterfront. We will open in 2022. Our work in refreshing existing attractions and precincts continues. For example, the work of the redevelopment of the next phase of the IRs is going on very well. And at Orchard Road, the transformation of the Grange Road car park into a lifestyle and event space is well underway since we launched and awarded the tender last year. And it is expected to be completed in 2022. I'm also very happy to announce that together with the URA and SLA, we will launch a tender for a new attraction concept at the vacant site between Somerset Skate Park and Killiney Road later this year. These projects are a welcome breath of fresh air amongst all the negativity and bad news over the last year. Since the pandemic hit, we have focused on how to weather this long winter. But now, it is time for us to think how we can prepare for the future. What do we need to do today so that we can thrive and succeed tomorrow? I will spend the rest of my time now focusing on the future beyond COVID-19. And I will single out 4 key trends relating to travel and tourism that we must deal with. First, remote nearly everything, which I refer to as the acceleration of remote working and virtual events. Second trend, holistic wellness, not just physical wellness, which many of you are familiar with, but also our emotional and mental wellness. Thirdly, environmental sustainability, which Mr. Chan has already mentioned. And fourth, what I term as technology everywhere, every day, for everyone. A turn towards ubiquitous technology that enables businesses to provide top customer experiences even in tough times like COVID-19. How can we deal with these 4 trends? Over the past 2 years, STB has studied these trends, in fact, with many of you, and have distilled them into 4 challenges I will issue to you that we need to think about over the next 5 to 10 years. Our first challenge in the world of remote nearly everything is this: how can we reinforce Singapore's position as the world's most trusted, valued, innovative, and safe destination for business and corporate travelers. Now, there's a lot of talk, I know, about how business travel will be the slowest to return because of the convenience of tools like Zoom and WebEx and Google Meets and so on. Now, I think this is a rather sweeping statement. It is probably true that a lot of routine, lower value business travel can be replaced by virtual meetings. And frankly, that is a very, very good thing for many of us. But I believe that there will still be demand for business travel. Because it is one thing to travel around the world to listen to a presentation that you could have listened to from home via Zoom. But it is quite another thing to go around the world to travel to an event to exchange ideas and knowledge that can in turn produce new ideas, new knowledge, new products, or to experience, touch, and taste new products and innovations that can revolutionize your sector. And so the challenge for us is to ensure that Singapore continues to offer these sorts of value-adding, world-leading, knowledge-building events and activities here. Let me suggest some broad ideas which I hope you will follow up, think about. Number one, there are many problems or issues that need urgent attention from corporates and governments today. For example, food security or energy security. How can we anchor and grow conferences and trade shows in Singapore that gather leading thinkers and businesses from around the world to discuss and find solutions to these problems? Second idea, there are also other issues where the divide between East and West has become more contentious, such as in technology. Can Singapore become a trusted and neutral global Asia node for events that bridge these differences, bringing corporates from East and West in mutually beneficial interactions? Third, there are now also many more growth-oriented, world-ready Asian companies now, compared to even just 10 years ago, especially right here in Southeast Asia. So can we do more to bring these companies, and their executives to Singapore, whether it's for incentives, for corporate education, corporate meetings, or just to participate in our existing slate of MICE events? To achieve the vision of becoming the world's most trusted, valued, innovative, and safe destination for business travelers, we need a strong MICE industry. And to date, we have been able to do so from a strong partnership with SASIOS. It was a landmark effort from them to develop the Events Industry Resilience Roadmap last year, which laid out clear directions for the MICE sector, new capabilities they need to build, as well as the opportunities ahead. STB will do our part to support and profile the industry. So for example, just last month, we organized the Singapore Reimagine MICE virtual show to create a marketplace to connect Singapore MICE suppliers with international buyers. The event received very, very strong interest from around the world, with over 1,000 attendees internationally and 40 international media. I'm also happy to announce that STB will set up 2 new offices in Brussels and San Francisco this year, allowing us to engage a larger base of international organizations and companies and key decision makers so that we can secure more high-quality events for Singapore. The second challenge I want to issue relates to holistic wellness. As I said, not just physical, but also mental, emotional wellness. Now, this is not a surprise because COVID-19 has made wellness a top priority for all of us. And even long after COVID-19 is over, we know that the growing middle class, especially here in Asia, will pay a premium for products and offerings that enhance their sense of beauty and well-being. So the challenge for us is this: we will never become a destination that can provide wellness offerings complemented by greenery, mountains, hot springs, onsens, and we shouldn't aspire to do so. It is not our right to win. But can we become known as a leading urban wellness haven where wellness and beauty offerings and experiences are easily available, seamlessly integrated into the daily life of a busy modern city? Now, this is a serious challenge because wellness is not a top-of-mind association with Singapore yet. But if we want to stay relevant to quality tourists of the future, we must adapt and innovate to meet their expectations and demands. Other cities are already stepping up. Shanghai has the Living Room by the Octave Institute. This is, I quote, the first comprehensive urban wellness center in China, providing customized holistic wellness and learning programs rooted on mindfulness. London has the Belsell Clinic, which aims to give regular people, I quote, regular people, access to hyper-personalized, science-based solutions to health, wellness, and beauty. Now, we are not quite there, but we are not starting from zero. We have heritage brands like Yuehua and Yuyangsang, which have already tried very hard and are succeeding in making traditional Chinese medicine much more accessible. And they have found a growing following, especially in our region. More hotels are also creating or are partnering with lifestyle and wellness brands to offer a much wider range of experiences to support their guests' health and well-being. And I'm not just talking about yoga and meditation. It's also the way you control the light in a room to provide a better sleep experience for the visitors. More businesses are coming up too, such as the new Trapeze Rec Club, a one-stop destination that offers busy urbanites a full range of holistic wellness services starting later this year. So let me offer now 3 ideas in this space. First, can we create more innovative partnerships between traditional, conventional tourism industries on the one hand, like hotels, cruise, attractions, and MICE on the one hand, and wellness offerings, wellness brands and enterprises on the other hand? For example, can you imagine hotel partnering with Peloton as an example? Second, we know that there's a clear link between well-being and nature. Can we create more experiences in Singapore that support this link, building on our rich and diverse, and frankly, I believe, underappreciated green and blue resources here in Singapore? Third, can we create more world-class wellness-related B2B and B2C events in Singapore? Because we know that, especially in the fitness and wellness space, some of these people are becoming celebrities akin to rock stars, able to pull people from all over the world. Can we do more in this space here in Singapore? Our third challenge arises from environmental sustainability. This is a major area we must focus our minds on because this will be one of the most important considerations for future travelers. How can Singapore become one of the world's top sustainable urban destinations? Many of you already recognize this urgency. For many years, Wildlife Reserve Singapore has been championing the cause of environmental sustainability and conservation. Sentosa has set very ambitious targets, for example, to achieve carbon neutrality by 2030. And of course, some of our hotels are already globally known in their efforts on sustainability. These efforts are extremely heartening, but for Singapore to achieve our vision of becoming one of the world's top sustainable urban destinations, we must tackle sustainability collectively as a destination rather than enterprise by enterprise. And so, over the coming months, STB will reach out to you as we develop an industry roadmap towards destination sustainability. We will broaden the scope of the Singapore Tourism Accelerator to develop solutions for sustainability. And in fact, some of you are already raising problem statements such as how to reduce waste, water, and energy in your businesses. Ultimately, as Minister reminded us, we don't just want to be known as a sustainable urban destination, but as a great location for companies to test-bed sustainable tourism solutions. For example, can you imagine whether we can be the first city in the world with a net zero carbon hotel or a net zero carbon entertainment and lifestyle event? We want to do it here in Singapore. Our fourth and final challenge relates to technology. Over the last few years, all of you have made great strides in becoming more tech and digitally enabled. Many of you have made serious investments in robotics, data analytics, and smart technologies. And as a result, approximately 7,000 man-hours were saved daily between 2016 and 2020. We've made great strides in productivity. More recently, many of you have adopted contactless solutions to manage crowds and queues. For example, more than 30 hotels have or will be transitioning to STB's e-visitor authentication system, EVA, by the end of this year to reduce physical touchpoints and to simplify the check-in process at hotels. But I believe we are just actually scratching the surface. Advances in data connectivity, 5G, artificial intelligence, augmented, mixed, virtual reality, gamification, voice recognition, and many other areas all will have a profound impact on the way people travel and experience destinations. There are many opportunities for the tourism sector arising for us, but to me, the challenge is quite clear. Can Singapore be a thriving marketplace that brings together the most innovative and promising solutions providers from around the world, on the one hand, and the most forward-looking, hungry, digitally savvy tourism companies, that's all of you, on the other hand? So demand and supply here in Singapore. STB will work with our other agencies in government to attract companies with tech and digital solutions that are relevant for tourism here to Singapore. But that's not enough. That's just the supply side. We need you to provide the demand to test these solutions, to run pilots, and to see if they can be scaled up quickly. If we don't do this, we run the risk of becoming outdated, unable to keep up with the demands and expectations of discerning quality visitors. I end this segment with my final video, which I hope will inspire you to think about your own future and how you can leverage these trends to create more value for your businesses and to differentiate Singapore from our competitors.
It is the first time that PCMA has been held outside America in its 64-year history, so we really had to nail it when we produced it on site in Singapore. PCMA convening leaders really changed the way that we as MICE organisers have to think about events. It's not just the social distancing aspect inside the room, but planning with military precision. So during the event, we're using technology like we've never used it before. We've probably advanced in audio, visual and broadcasting techniques about 10 years in the last 12 months. And that's going to deliver brighter, more digital, more technically focused presentations and experiences for all audiences. And Singapore is really at the forefront of that advancement.
Wellness is really an active pursuit. People are looking at different means of thriving rather than simply surviving. There's a huge amount of synergies with the tourism sector. We collaborated with Singapore Airlines to design 80 recipes to provide travellers with some of the well-being advantages that we could offer.
Being the world's largest discovery platform of wellness experiences, there are tons that we can do to collaborate. We could launch cross-country campaigns, could work with tourism and hospitality operators to unlock their network in Singapore. Singapore's quality of wellness is arguably higher than anywhere else in Southeast Asia, and with increasing demand in wellness experiences, if we all come together to collaborate, there's a ton that we could do for this sector moving forward.
For over 50 years, our zoological parks have been windows into the wild and a source of inspiration for Singaporeans and our guests from overseas. We want tourism to help drive Singapore's transformation into a green economy, not just because consumers expect it, but because it is the right thing to do. We will continue to work with like-minded partners to create experiences with conservation included. Mandai will be a purpose-led destination where the values of sustainability, conservation, and respect for the environment are integral to every aspect of our guest experience.
I hope you will take all these 4 challenges seriously. Let me recap them. Number 1, how may we reinforce Singapore's position as the world's most trusted, value-adding, and safe destination for business and corporate travelers? Number 2, how can Singapore become a leading urban wellness haven where wellness and health offerings and experiences are easily available, fully integrated into our modern, busy city? Number 3, how can Singapore become one of the world's top sustainable urban destinations? And number 4, how can we become a thriving marketplace for great tech solution providers and tech-savvy tourism companies? Success in these areas is by no means guaranteed. A lot will depend on how we weather the next few leaner years together. Please don't expect us to go back to business as usual, because if we go back to doing business as usual, we would have wasted this crisis and we will be unprepared for the next crisis, which will almost certainly come. But if we successfully address these challenges, we can ensure that Singapore will be an attractive and compelling destination through 2030 and beyond. I want to end off by answering a question which many of you have asked me over this past year. Is there anything to be hopeful about? Indeed, I am hopeful despite all the challenges that we have faced. And I offer you the following reasons. First, the Singapore brand remains very, very strong, buoyed by our positive handling of the pandemic. Travelers want to come to Singapore as soon as they can. Second, despite severe disruptions to air travel, our connectivity to key cities and nodes around the world remains largely intact. Third, local and foreign companies remain confident in Singapore's appeal as a top travel destination and want to invest in improving existing tourism products or creating new ones. Fourth, we have managed to hold on to key skills and capabilities despite COVID, and in fact, many of you are upgrading and building new skills or learning new languages. Fifth, driven by necessity, we are going through what is the richest and most exciting phase of innovation and product development we have ever experienced. And finally, the biggest source of hope I have is all of you, from the frontline staff in our airports, hotels, attractions, cruise ships, right down to my colleagues in STB. All of you have demonstrated resilience and optimism while rolling up your sleeves to get the work done. These factors give me a great deal of hope for the future. We will get through this crisis, and we will remain one of the world's top cities for international travel for years to come. Thank you, and have a great TIC 2021.